Hi everybody, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to give you some more academic vocabulary to use in your IELTS and TOEFL writing, or any writing that you do for that matter. Today we're going to look specifically at compound words. I'm going to give you 10, actually I'm going to give you a few more than 10 compound words. Now, compound words are two words that are squeezed together to make one new word. Now, sometimes the two individual words keep their meanings and work together to make that third word, but sometimes the two words come together and create a completely different third word with different meanings. Another thing to remember about compound words is that there are three types of compounds. There are the types that are open, basically means the two words are separated. They're two individual words, but they're working together. Then there's the hyphenated compound. We have two words joined together by a hyphen. And then what do you have? The third type is the closed compound, where the two words are squeezed together. There's no space between them. There's no hyphen between them. They look like one single word. And that's what we're going to look at today. I'm going to give you 10 of these. We're going to look at firsthand, upside and downside, overestimate and underestimate, commonplace and everyday. Now, everyday and commonplace essentially mean the same thing. I put them together because I want to show you the difference in how to use them, okay? Foresight, hindsight, they're basically opposites, so I put them together. Widespread, household, backbone, extraordinary, and I'm going to give you a couple more with the word extra, and tailspin. All of these can be used in your essay, and one of them especially can be used in your Task 1 IELTS academic. Okay, now, but I'll show you that when I get to it. So let's start. Firsthand. When you talk about firsthand, you're talking about a direct and personal experience or contact with something. So common collocations for firsthand, we would say you have a firsthand look, firsthand knowledge of something, firsthand experience with something, and a firsthand account. Basically, you were there. You experienced something with your own eyes, your own ears, your own hands. Firsthand knowledge, because you experienced something, you know it directly. You didn't learn it from a book. You didn't hear it from somebody else's mouth. You have a direct relationship with that knowledge. So that's the main thing to remember. You have a direct personal relationship or contact with something. So high school students are often taken on field trips. A field trip is like a school trip to places like the New York Stock Exchange and the White House to have a first-hand look at how economics and government work in a country, right? So you can read about it in a text, or you can go there and actually see it and hear it and feel it. Okay, that's a first-hand contact. There is such a thing as secondhand. Secondhand means you're getting it from somebody else or somewhere else. So if you hear something on the news about like a fire in a building, that is secondhand information because you weren't there, you didn't see it. So secondhand information, you always have to be a little bit careful with. Something can change as the message is being delivered, like the game Broken Telephone, right? So firsthand, secondhand, firsthand is more useful for you. Widespread. Now, I know a lot of people know this word, but a lot of people misuse this word, right? You have to remember that it's never a verb. It's always an adjective. But basically, wide and spread. So something spreads very far. The news spreads, or the situation is widespread. The news is widespread. The idea is widespread. It means lots of people have it, or it's basically seen or heard everywhere. Far-reaching, prevalent. Due to recent headlines, fears of a coming recession are widespread. So everybody is seeing all these headlines in the newspaper about recession, bad economy, losing jobs, etc. So the fear from these headlines, the fear of a recession, is everywhere. If you talk to anybody anywhere in the country, they're afraid of a coming recession. In countries with widespread political corruption, In countries where the corruption in the politics is in every level and every district, voters are mostly apathetic when it comes to elections. People don't go to vote because they don't care. They understand that everywhere is, all the politics is corrupt. There's no point voting. They stay at home. Oh, sorry. Another thing about widespread. Notice that I can place it after the be verb as a complement, or I can put it as a direct modifying adjective before the noun that it is modifying. So placement is also a bit more flexible with this word. Upside and downside. Now, generally, the most common uses of these words is as positive or negative aspect of something. Positive, up, negative, downside. But in some cases, you can use it as a synonym to advantage or disadvantage. This is especially important for your essay, where you can't think of a synonym for advantage or disadvantage. Maybe you use merits, drawbacks, pros, cons, but you're running out of ideas. You have a couple more to work with. Although taking a gap year after high school carries some risks, some things that could be bad, one potential upside, one potential positive thing you can get from doing this is that a person has a chance to discover what he or she wants to focus on in college. Although the media mostly cheers on the stock market's climb, yay, it's good, many neglect to look at the accompanying downside. Okay? So here, one potential upside, one potential advantage. Here, downside just generally means a negative aspect. It doesn't mean disadvantage. So you have to be careful about how you're using these two words. Something negative or a disadvantage, not necessarily the same thing. So one downside is economic inequality in the country. Okay, income inequality. Overestimate, underestimate. Now, just like with upside and downside, I'm using over and under. I'm using prepositions. These could also technically be considered suffixes. You know the little pieces of words that come before a word to make it different? Un, non, dis, re, etc. So prepositions can be used as suffixes. Some prepositions can be used as suffixes. And they essentially keep their meaning. Over, under. So more than, less than in this case. Overestimate, you gauge something or you think about something with a higher value than it actually has. If you underestimate, you think it has less value than it actually has. And that's the very key here. What it actually is and what you think it is, what you guess it is. Estimate basically means guess or value something. Over, you value too much. Under, you value too low or too little. The concert organizers overestimated the popularity of the band. So they thought this band was so popular, like extremely popular. So they were stunned that half the tickets went unsold. They booked a place, a concert venue, and they thought maybe 10,000 people would show up, but only 5,000 tickets were bought. So the band was not as popular as they thought, as they estimated. The team lost the game because they underestimated their opponent's determination to win. So you can also overestimate or underestimate a person, or a person's desire, or a person's willingness, or a person's determination. You can think it is more, you can think it is less than the actual reality of that person, of that feeling or thing, etc. Commonplace. Now, commonplace and everyday are synonyms. It basically means common, nothing special about it, unremarkable, ordinary. But the way we're going to use it is a little bit different. Notice also that everyday has no space between it. When you put a space, every day, two separate words, that means daily, each day. Every day means completely different. It means common. Commonplace means it's common in everywhere you look. That's what makes it common. Whereas international communication used to be a complicated and expensive luxury, it is now so commonplace. You can see it everywhere. It's so people don't even think about it. It's so common that people don't even bother to travel to see family. They just call or get on Skype or whatever they do. Even though most people see cars on the roads as everyday items, just like a pen or a watch or a thing, it's just a common thing. It's an everyday thing. It's nothing special. In the hands of an incompetent driver, these machines could be weapons of mass destruction. A car, if you don't know how to handle it, can kill lots of people if you lose control of it. So you should never look at a car as an everyday item. Of course, there are millions of cars on the roads, but they're weapons. Treat them like special machines. Okay, let's look at backbone. So very literally, backbone is the bone in your back, your spine. It goes right down your back. But we use backbone to have a slightly different meaning, or a couple of different meanings. One, it could be the foundation, the thing that holds something together, okay? Or it could mean courage or conviction, like you have the backbone to do something. You're not afraid. You don't quit. Something, so if in the first meaning we usually say be the backbone of, so something is the backbone of something else. And the courage, you have the backbone, you have the courage to do something. Now, as courage, some people might think it is a little bit informal, but you can use this in the essay because it's formal enough if you're using it correctly. Technological innovation has long been the backbone of the country's economy. So innovation is what holds the economy up, what lifts it up and keeps it from collapsing. Most politicians who are up for re-election do not have the backbone to stand up for what they believe, but rather bow down to the demands of the electorate. So they don't have the courage to follow through on their beliefs. They see that the voters are not happy, they'll give them whatever they want just to get re-elected. They don't have that courage or conviction. Tailspin. So tail, like a puppy has a tail, and spin, right? I don't know how these two words came together, but essentially what they mean, a very serious drop. Now you can use this in the IELTS task 1 when you're talking about like a graph or a pie chart and you see a number falling very quickly and continue to falling. But you can also use it in other situations. A very strong decline, especially somebody who has like a mental decline. Like the president went into a mental tailspin, means he just lost control of his mind a little bit. By raising interest rates too quickly, the Treasury risks sending the stock market into a tailspin, like a very sharp drop. And this is especially useful for task 1, IELTS. After a relatively stable ascent over the span of 10 years, it went up, sales suddenly went into a tailspin starting in 2005. So 2005, and they suddenly started going, and they're going like a little bit of a spin. But it's a very sharp drop, and it extends for a little while, okay? And okay, foresight and hindsight. For, this is also a suffix. It means ahead or before. Hind, behind, right? So in the back. Foresight, ability to see ahead. Not necessarily tell the future, but guess the future. Or be able to see the signs pointing to a certain path. Hindsight means when you're looking back at something, but with the present knowledge. So you're looking back at something that you did in the past or that happened in the past, but you know today why it worked, why it didn't work, why it was a good decision, why it was a bad decision, because you have present knowledge about a past event. Have the foresight to do something in hindsight. So these are the usual collocations for these words. In hindsight, it was a bad decision. Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, had the foresight to invest in online shopping and is now the richest man in the world. So before Amazon, online shopping was just starting to become a thing, and there weren't that many options. There was eBay and some other things. But Jeff Bezos put everything he had into creating an online shopping platform, and now, because he made that decision, he's the richest man in the world. He saw ahead what was coming. Many art history majors, those who study art history in university, concede that in hindsight, their choice of studies was not very practical since they cannot find a decent job. So somebody went to university, they majored in art history, they graduated, and then when they go look for a job, they realize that nobody really wants to hire an art history major. So when they look back at their university career, they understand that they chose the wrong major. They should have studied something else. We say hindsight is 2020. 2020, when you're talking about vision, perfect vision is 2020. Hindsight is 2020, because of course, you can see a bad decision now, you couldn't see it at that time. Let's talk about household. A lot of people, I think, misunderstand this word. A household is not a house. It is not a home. It is not necessarily a place. A household is the people who live in the house, the family or the family members. As a noun. As an adjective, it means items that are used in the house. Okay? So the group of people who live there or relating to the household. Now, we also have another meaning, which means common, but that's in conjunction with a collocation. So it's an even bigger compound when we talk about a household name. And I'll show you that in a second. As lending rates increase, as the banks give out more and more money, the number of households, so basically it's not houses or homes, it's the people, the number of groups of people sinking into unmanageable debt rises as well. So all the groups of people who take bank loans are also getting bigger and bigger debts because they keep taking more and more money. As children get older, household expenses tend to rise proportionally. Household expenses, like kids get older, you have to buy them new computers all the time. You have to buy more supplies for like the bathroom. Maybe the girls start wearing makeup. Maybe the boys start playing sports and they need different things. Again, it's a little bit gender biased, but you get the idea. So household expenses, things that the people in the house need to buy. After winning the Grand Slam, this is in tennis, the competition, the previously unknown player, so nobody knew who this girl was, suddenly became a household name. There should be a period here. Today, everybody knows her name. Today, she is famous. Her name is a household name, very common, very popular, very famous. Okay, extraordinary. So first of all, pronunciation, extraordinary, not extraordinary, although some people do say it that way. Extraordinary means not ordinary, above and beyond, special, exceptional. We also use the word extra to mean just beyond, okay, outside of. And I'll give you a couple other words. So extramarital means outside the marriage. Extracurricular means above and beyond the schoolwork or one's regular duties. So in school, you have your 9 to, let's say, 3 or 4, all your regular subjects. Everything you do after that in school is extracurricular, outside the curriculum, beyond the curriculum. Some collocations, extraordinary circumstances, extraordinary beauty, extraordinary results, etc. The results of the experiment were so extraordinary that the supervising scientist asked that it be done again to confirm the findings. Again, you can use it after the be verb, you can use it as a direct modifying adjective. The most extraordinary feature of the phone is its unbreakable screen. So the screen, you can't break it. It's extraordinary because no other phone has something like this. It's very special. Okay, and that's finally all of them. I hope these words are useful to you. Make sure you know how to use them before you try to put them into your essays, but definitely practice them and try to use them as much as you possibly can. If you have any questions about these words, you can ask in the YouTube comments section. And don't forget to come back next time for another video about vocab, grammar, writing, etc. See you then. Bye-bye.